Hey, welcome to Small Business Chat, take 2. We've had a few tech difficulties, so we are going to say thank you very much for joining with us. We are here today. We have Leila Martyn that has joined us from MyOva. Thank you very much for joining us today, and hello, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
And Karen, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, good, thank you. Got the coffee.
Got the coffee, got the chats. Yes, love it. So as you know, we've been doing a series on women's health in business, and today we have an inspiring business story that we wanted to share with you. We have looked at how women's health can impact our lives and how it needs to be supported both in business, but also as women, as people that's having so many challenges to face. How are we overcoming that, or how are we just trying to drive impact and help others? So with 1 in 10 women suffering from PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome. That's it.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
I can see why they've shortened it. Yeah.
Exactly right. But it's a major health concern, and there's so little awareness around it. And actually, like most women's health conditions, very difficult to get a solid diagnosis. Most people are unaware that they've actually got it. Mm-hmm. And I was actually learning from your website, funny enough, Leila, that you have it can actually contribute towards diabetes, so like further ongoing complications.
Absolutely, and ovarian cancer if it's just left untreated. Yeah, so serious.
It is really serious, and so it'll be really interesting. We're delighted to have you on the show, like this chat, to talk to us. Let us know a little bit more about what you do in your journey, and really how you started MyOva.
Yeah, so MyOva is it's a women's health supplement company, and we're here to help women with PCOS take back control of their hormonal and menstrual health, so they can just start feeling themselves again. Because isn't that what we all want? When we're not feeling, when our symptoms get the better of us, and all we want is to feel healthy. So, and it's wrong. And as you said, 1 in 10 women are diagnosed with PCOS. But despite this, so many women don't know they have it. So they are living their lives having to battle with the mental and physical burden around PCOS. And we just need to break that taboo. As you said, nobody wants to talk about women's health issues. But thankfully, with menopause and endometriosis, but menopause in particular, we've seen that topic really being talked about, and that's kind of what I want to see with PCOS. We don't want we want women with PCOS to feel aware, but we don't want them to feel afraid, and it's just knowing that you have it is the first step, and you can live an absolutely healthy and happy life with PCOS. You just need to make the right dietary and lifestyle choices.
That's wonderful. And actually, tell us a little bit more about your own experience. We'd love to hear sort of, it's harrowing, I think, for most women that don't understand what's going on with their bodies. And then you go to the doctors, and unfortunately, research isn't there enough. So we needed to hear a little bit more about your story and to what really drove you to have this understanding, and also your experiences.
Well, I think my experience was much like every other woman that goes to the doctor. You start having kind of unusual symptoms. You're thinking, what's my body doing? I don't understand it. It's not working normally. For me, I was having really irregular periods. So they were coming every 2 weeks, and then every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks. So I eventually went to the doctor, and I was 19 at the time. So, I really didn't know what was happening. So I had a lot of blood tests and had a scan of my ovaries. And when I went back to the doctor, she said that you have PCOS and you're going to probably find it difficult to have children later in life. And as a 19-year-old, I just found that completely devastating. And also at the time, there were just no resources for me to find out more about this condition. So to be honest with you, I probably lived the next 10 years of my life, maybe a little bit more, really not understanding what was happening to me, not understanding how to live with it holistically. And, I was just given what most women are given, which is going on the pill. And the other option is metformin, which is what they give to people with diabetes. So I was kind of stuck between this place of like not really understanding, and then kind of living in ignorance as well. But it was always in the back of my mind. this thing about having children, and unfortunately for me, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. But yeah, so that's kind of my journey and how it all started. But in terms of how MyOva started, was born out of these fertility problems that I had. So it took me 5 years to have my firstborn, and I suffered 6 pregnancy losses. And I think it's something like 1% of the female population have over 4 miscarriages. So I was kind of like feeling like I'm in that 10%, and now I'm in the 1%, you know. And every time I went to the doctors after this loss, I would have tests done, and they would say, it's just bad luck, just keep trying, you know. And that's really frustrating. And I think you're either in 2 camps. You're the camp of like, listen to the doctors and you don't Google, or you're in the other camp, which I am, which is I'm not taking no for an answer, and there must be a solution. There's always a solution. So that's when I started turning to Dr. Google, basically, and just finding out more about pregnancy loss, PCOS. And I realized that having PCOS, you have more chance of having poor egg quality. So that was kind of what I laser focused on, and I just wanted to find a solution for that. And that's where I came across this amazing B-type vitamin called myo-inositol. And after reading all the research about it, I just thought, how have I not heard about this? If I haven't heard about it, who else hasn't heard about this? I mean, so many women that haven't heard about it. And, you know, people need to go and do their research about the benefits and the studies behind it. But, you know, that's kind of what inspired me to then launch this brand and get it out there, but also to educate and empower women to really understand how their bodies work, because knowledge is power. And once you know, you can do something about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's just incredible that you have to, I think a lot of times in this day and age, you have to do a lot of your own research, don't you? And just not just rely on or get a second opinion and look outside the box a little bit. It sounds amazing. What has been, so setting up your journey, I mean, obviously having to deal with this and, you know, put a new health plan in place, and then, you know, you wanting to have kids and everything, and then run a business as well. There's a lot going on there. What can you tell us about some of the challenges of sort of setting up the beginner's business at the beginning?
Well, you know, when we set it up, I actually fell pregnant during the kind of setting up process of it all. And, you know, I actually found an amazing fertility doctor, and I conceived naturally, but I had high natural killer cells. That was the reason why I kept miscarrying. So I'd encourage women who've had multiple miscarriages to get that checked out. The NHS don't support it. You'd have to go to a private doctor, but definitely worth it. I wouldn't have had my children without it. But I eventually fell pregnant. And so setting up a business when you're pregnant, I think looking back on it, you would think, why would you do that? Are you crazy? Are you absolutely crazy? But it just felt like the right thing to do. So trying to juggle that with a baby, and then I had another one less than 2 years later, just because I didn't know how long it was going to take for me to conceive my second child. So I've literally had birthed a business and then birthed 2 children in the past 5 years. Wow. So yeah, it's a challenge. It really is. You know, we both had to take, I run the business with my partner, and we both had other jobs while we were launching this business, because it takes, you know, unless you've got a lot of investment behind you, it takes a really long time to grow a business. So we just had to kind of grow it really slowly and reinvest all the money back in. You know, and we just hadn't paid ourselves. We didn't pay ourselves for years. So, you know, I just think, you know, if you're really passionate about something, you'll find a way to make it work.
Amazing. It's so true, isn't it? And you have 3 kids. So yeah, you have your 2
I do.
this baby as well to push forward with. This just out of interest, how long has MyOva been going for in total now?
I think it's actually coming up for 6 years. I think it's 6 years this month actually. Yeah. So yeah, from actually incorporating the company, but I think from launching the products, it's been about 5 years. Yeah.
And I'd love to know what has worked well for you, because as you say, you've got this something that's probably bear in mind, we do say we're not doctors ourselves. So obviously, as Leila's saying, make sure that you check with your health professional. But equally, you have something here that is not mainstream or understood as much. And like you say, a lot of people will just take that information from their doctor and not think about, well, there must be other ways that I could help myself, or maybe like not realize what there is out there available to me. So you're dealing with sort of a huge awareness drive as well in order to get that message out. So what has worked well for you, do you think, over the years, and has helped you build that momentum to where you are today? And are there any sort of like no lessons that you would like impart?
Oh goodness me. So I think really the way that we have built our business is through word of mouth. It is all through word of mouth, and I think any successful business has to have that. And I think we've really tried to nurture relationships with influencers as well, and we always want to keep it credible, and we always want to make sure that anybody that is talking about us genuinely has a positive experience. And actually, if you don't have a positive experience, say that too. We just want there to be more open honesty, and people being more open about PCOS and being able to talk about it. And I think there's just been so many more influence, especially with the internet and with social media. It just gives an outlet for people to be able to express themselves. We also have taken on board our brand ambassador called Jodie Ralph, who actually has PCOS herself. So she has been a great driver in being able to educate. I learn from her all the time. So, I think it's just being able to keep it authentic and having really great people around you. I've now got a really great team. I think with anyone that's growing a business, you have really good and bad experiences. And, we've been going for, over 5 years now, and it's taken this long to get the right team around us, because I'm so busy with, I'm trying to run a business. I'm trying to, keep my family alive at the same time. So now I've got a really great team of all women actually around me that are able to support me. And I think that's ultimately what's helped drive our success forward.
Yeah, I think that's so important, is having the right support network around you. I think a lot of people are sort of afraid to do that, and they try and do everything themselves, don't they?
Well, at the beginning, you do have to do a lot of it yourself. And I do get really frustrated. I think that's probably one of my biggest frustrations, is that I've got all these grand plans and, I just don't have the time, resources, or money actually to be able to make them happen. So it's rather than doing it all in one go, which I'm really good at. I think I'm probably definitely one of those people that wants to do all of it at the same time and actually manages to do most of it somehow. But I just have to take small incremental steps. But as long as you're moving forward, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And just a quick question on all the sort of stuff that you do. So you've got influencers, you've got an ambassador now. Do you use social media, or do you have Facebook groups, we actually, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we had a whole rebrand in January actually. So last year I spent most of my time redesigning all the packaging and the website. So that was a real big passion project. But since January with our socials, they've really started growing. I think we've become more engaged with our followers, and we're also, Instagram's now focusing more on video. So we've really tried to change our strategy and work towards video, which is, obviously more time consuming as a business, but, you've got to move with the times. But we also do pay-per-click advertising, and we haven't actually done any Facebook advertising up until now, but we are going to start doing that in the next month.
I think what you've done as well, like what we always talk about, Karen and I, in terms of from our experience working with clients, but also really when you're trying to drive a movement or just try and drive awareness and a new way of thinking, really has to start, and I always call it is the ripple effect. Like you have to start with like, who are those key advocates for you? And I love the fact that you say word of mouth was like core, because we forget that. We just, people might think they can't start because they haven't got the big budget for advertising or even PR, but actually you can do so much in terms of your own community, just to get those ambassadors, those testimonials, really get like word of mouth trickling through, growing to the point where it starts to sustain itself and sort of overflow. And I love that that's what you're focused on. And again, you know, whether we talk about the pros and cons of social media, but again, this is where I love these stories, because you have taken on something like Instagram. You see the rise of TikTok as well, in terms of, I think it was ADHD or autism. So a lot of, you know, like that's been a recent campaign of everyone going, oh, wow, like, you know, it's having that reach out to people and that video content. So like you say, how it's then progressed is fascinating to hear, and also seeing that journey move on for you, and going up and up and up for driving awareness. Like, well done, congratulations, because again,
thank you. I think sometimes it can be difficult to know what to focus on, because there are so many. There's TikTok and Instagram and Facebook groups and all this, and it's hard to keep on top of them all. And I suppose, you know, you can only do a few things well. You know, so I think one of my you know, negative traits is like get distracted by shiny things. You know, I'm like, oh, that looks great, maybe I should try TikTok, you know, which I do want to do, but you just have to, I suppose, take a step back and think, have we explored, or have we made the best of all of the avenues that we're focusing on at the moment?
Yeah, a really good tip I watched many years ago was like, you know, you imagine sort of a bridge crossing from an island to another island, or, you know, across a chasm or a river. And so your social media channel, you know, you've got to get all the way across and be doing that really well. And it kind of becomes a circular thing. So it sort of generates the business back, and then can obviously also generate the income or whatever for someone to keep supporting that. And then you move on to the next bridge. So you don't, otherwise you just have lots of half little bridges and none of them reach all the way across.
Yeah. I think that's easy to do, because and also those platforms really try and convince you that that's the next big thing as well. So don't they? They all try and reel you in, and you kind of can get really distracted. So yeah, I think it's just trying to stay focused as well.
I think as well, you know who your audience is. So in that term, you know, I've learned so much, you know, again, from health and understanding through like Instagram, where you see that content's readily available. Sorry, I can't get my words out this morning. So it's readily available. You have some really good qualified people, other people that are, you know, try and find alternatives. And I know doctors a lot of the time are like, just don't Google it. But equally, you know, if the research isn't there and we have to, you know, the options just aren't acceptable. So I love the fact that.
Yeah, but I also think, and this is something, when I was going through my fertility journey, I just wanted to find stories. I mean, you know, I think even, to be honest with you, back then when this was how long ago? 7 years ago, when I was going through, sort of 5-7 years ago. But there was still nothing on social media talking about infertility. But if I went onto TikTok now and put infertility in, I would have so many women. I could probably find someone doing exactly what I'm going through. And that's what makes it so special, I think, that you're able to just find other people. And you can read all you want on the internet about that's been written by a doctor or whatever, but actually connecting to somebody who's going through what you're going through, I think that's the most important thing.
Amazing. That's so true. That's so true. So we were just going to also ask, again, fans of community, and you've created your own called the PCOS Collective on Facebook. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and what that who that's available to, and what that?
Yeah, so it's quite a new group actually. We only set it up in January, but we really just wanted it to be a private space where women can come together without being judged, that they can ask questions that they feel are really embarrassed about, you know, that they feel like they can't ask anybody else. And we know that positivity in the very beginning breeds a better long-term outcome. And it's that waterfall effect as well of, you know, you've got the people that come into it that think they might have it but haven't been diagnosed, and then you've got the people that are newly diagnosed, and you've got the ones that have been diagnosed for a while. So it's almost encouraging women to tell their stories and being positive about it, that you can live a life with PCOS, you know, a happy life with PCOS. So you can pass it back, if you see what I mean. That's what we want to do. And also we want it to be a place where we can have experts in on women's health, on mental health and general well-being, so it can just be a place where you can learn and you know, just feel better, not feel like it's all doom and gloom, basically, and that there's no light at the end of the tunnel, because there really is.
Oh, that's wonderful. So inspiring and uplifting as well. Because there is a lot of, I think, in terms of women's health, like the gaslighting that's involved. Like it's quite a sad situation, and it's very frustrating and infuriating for someone to go through it. So thank you for bringing in some more uplifting and inspiring way of looking at things and to help support. We I'm sure very much appreciated. So yeah, I suppose the final question, it'd be how to stay in touch and get involved. Like, you know, what's the website and what are the main social media channels that you're on, if you want to give a little
so our social handles across all of our platforms is at MyOva Care, and our website is www.myovacare.com. And we've got 2 products out at the moment. We've got the Myo Plus, and we've got the preconception supplement that has myo-inositol in it, plus all the vitamins and minerals you need for a healthy conception. And we're launching 3 more products in September, which is hair, skin and nails, balance and metabolism. So all of those products are myo-inositol based and all have different vitamins and minerals to help support that particular problem.
Amazing.
Fantastic. So interesting. Brilliant. Really good. And I'm just so glad that you're out there doing this for people, and 6 years on and still thriving and getting bigger and, you know, more sustainable.
We've got lots of plans.
Excellent.
I just need to like double myself, copy, you know, I just need another Leila double and we'll be fine.
I think that's every business owner's curse, isn't it? It's like, oh, why isn't clothing available yet?
Yeah, and they all say, you know, we've all got the same 24 hours in the day, but I feel like, yeah, my 24 hours feels like about, you know, 6 hours sometimes.
Yeah,
so true. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you having on the show. Just keep us up to date with what's going on, and when you've got launches, just let us know. By all means, follow. You know, we put the contact details in the show notes, so please follow Leila MyOva Care as well, MyOva, so that you can learn about the new products that are coming up. But yeah, join us next week with our next topic, and we will see you then. But by all means, just leave comments below if you have any questions. We'll be sure to get them to Leila as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again. Take care.
See you next week.